this is Jamie Magritte. Welcome to Jamie's Craft Table. Today I'm going to show you how I made this card. Now this paper is retired, just retired, and this was from Celebration. But I wanted to show you how I made this card anyway. You could use any designer series paper you want. I just am trying to use up some of my paper. Okay, so let's get started. I'm using the Happiness Abounds and the coordinating dies, Blossoming Happiness. Okay. And I have a 2-inch scrap of the Simply Marbelous Designer Series paper. It really should probably be about 2 1/4 inches, but this is a scrap. I have a 2 3/4 by 5 1/2 inch piece of soft seafoam. I have, this piece was 8 inches by 4 1/4. I cut it at 5 1/2, so I have 2 pieces. This one is 2 1/2 by 4 1/4. Okay, so those two, that'll be the main part of our card right there. Okay, that'll get glued on like that. And then I have my card base, 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, scored and folded at 4 1/4. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do, let's go ahead and stamp our flowers. Well, actually, no, I need to cut them out, so yep, let's stamp our flowers. I'm going to bring in, let's do the big one first. The big one just barely fits on here, and I'm only using Memento black ink. You could use whatever black ink you want, but it's just barely going to fit on here. Okay, stamp that down. The large flower first. Need that one. And then I'm going to use this one here. This one. These two, and I'm using this leaf. And then I'm going to be using this sentiment here. Perfect. Okay, I'll put the lid on the ink for a few minutes, and I'm going to bring in my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. Sorry, I have little bits on there, scraping them off. Okay, I'm going to bring in these 2 dies right here. I think it's those 2. Nope, it's this one. And I need this one as well, so I'll take that one out as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and bring these in. Line up our dies. This way. So I mean, it just barely fits on there, and actually I might have to run these through twice because I've got them awful close together. Let's see. Yeah, let's do them separate so that I can actually get them centered. It helps if you're not twitchy too. Alright, where's my top plate? Go ahead and run that through. There's that one. So, I mean, there's like literally no extra. So a little bit wider paper would be better for that big one, but it works. And Do this one. Top plate on. Whoops, it slid. Okay, there's that one. Okay, now I'm going to bring in this long one and this piece of soft seafoam. And I'm going to, there's a cutting edge and then there's an edge with no cutting. We want the cutting edge right along the edge of our paper, or just like a 1/16 of an inch away from the edge. And it's going to want to rotate, so let's bring in some Post-it tape. Probably need to flip my plate over. That might help. Okay, so I'm going to make sure you can see this. Maybe I should do it on this other side. Doesn't really matter. Okay, so I'm going to line it up so that it's like a 1/16 from the edge. Try to get it straight. Go ahead and tape it down. And I find it taping it on both ends works best. Okay. Put the plate on top. Run it through. Okay. Take that tape off slowly so you don't rip your paper. Okay. Just gonna tap the die on my table and all those little pieces fall out. You'll see it's not quite long enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this end and I'm going to push it along until you feel it fall into the little holes. You can feel where when it falls in. And I'm going to tape it again. I'm going to put it on my cutting plate. And I'm going to go ahead and run it through. Oops. There we go. Alright. So now we have that. See how the edge is cut? Okay, this away so I don't lose it. Done with this for now. Okay, so now let's bring this in. And our flowers are going to get arranged something like this. Okay, so we need to put some leaves behind it. And I think, let's stamp the sentiment first. Again, the Memento black ink. Wishing you all the happiness you can imagine. Some sticky on there. I think I need to replace my plates. They're starting to leave stuff on my paper. Okay, I'm going to stamp that about here. Okay, and then I'm going to come in with those leaves. This one here. I need a leaf here, so I'm going to push this up. I'm going to stamp one there. And I'm going to want one over here, so I'm going to push this up. I'm going to stamp one there. I'm going to want one up here. So I'm going to pull it down. I'm going to stamp one there. This flower will go above it, so I want one going up here, so I'm going to go ahead and stamp one up there. And I'm going to want one over in here. Okay. That's all of the stamping. Now we're going to put dimensionals on the back of this rose. And on this rose, I'm only going to put a dimensional on the back, at the bottom end. And I'm going to put a little bit of glue on this top end. I don't want it to be the same. I want to have a little bit more dimension. So, okay, so see how I have just a little line of glue and then a dimensional. So let's line up this flower where we want it. Go ahead and push that down. I want it over just a hair more, because I want a little of those leaves to show. So, okay, and I'm going to bring in this one. And I'm going to put that one up here. Like that. So there's that piece. Okay, now we'll bring in these. I'm going to go ahead and adhere this piece. That's the back side of the other one. Again, it was 5.5 by 8, and I cut it at 5.5 inches, and then I flipped over this piece that was left. Put it about an inch and a half from the bottom. Now you'll notice on this one, I had to cut a notch here because I forgot to put my ribbon on first. So this one I'm going to go ahead and put my twine on first. So I'm going to take some white baker's twine. Oops. It's not going to be long enough, but we'll use it anyway. Okay, we'll grab a couple pieces. I'm going to wrap it around. Normally I tape it on the back and then just tape a bow on, but I really want a nice big poofy bow. So I'll go ahead and do it this way. Tie a bow. And some snips. Trim this off. Trim this end a little bit because it's a little frayed. Let's poof out this bow a little bit. I want it to go this way, so I'm just going to manipulate it a little bit to get my bows, my tails go in the right direction. And I'm going to pull apart those loops so they're not the same in the same spot. Okay, I'm going to bring this piece in that we've put together before, turn it over, and I'm just going to put dimensionals in the 4 corners. Since there's dimensionals here already, it makes it better for mailing. And then I'm going to be about 1/2 inch from the right edge. Go ahead and put that down. Pull the bow out. Okay. If you need to shuffle that bow around a little, you can do that. And then I'm going to pull these apart a little so that they're separated. And this is going to get mounted directly to the front of our card. You might need to put a little bit of extra adhesive because the twine will pop it up a little, so you might want to do a dimensional. But it's going to be the same size as the front of the card. Normally I do another layer, but it's really quite simple card. There we go, there's the one we just made together. And here's the one I did previously. Well, thank you so much for joining me today at Jamie's Craft Table. Again, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I hope you find a little bit of time to play with some stamps, ink, and paper. Bye, everyone.